Good morning. This is Florida Plant Mama coming to you from Zone 10A, Central Florida. I remembered this time. Ooh, this thing got me with double chins here. Get this hat on. Good morning. How are you? I'm tired. I'm up at the hour of day that my eyes did not want to cooperate with me on, okay? It's early, y'all. It's too early to be out here. However, the weather's perfect. The sun hasn't come out. It's still quiet out. The gun range is not going crazy. The bugs, because of the cool snap this early in the morning, they're down. So I'm not getting eaten today. Okay. Very, very ambitious day planned today. Okay. For any of you who are new to gardening or thinking about gardening, don't use me as your example of how hard it is or how much is involved. As you may have guessed by now, I'm a little extra. So I like to kind of go above and beyond. You don't need to do all this stuff, people. You could just throw a seed in some dirt. It will grow. You nurture it. That's it. But you know, I got a lot of things going on, a lot of things that I'm starting. I want it to look a certain way. I'm type A personality, just a tiny smidgen OCD. So sometimes I get a little extra. Now I am awake after this morning's experience. 3 blind mice nearly stopped my heart. I did not expect them to be in there. Okay, so it tells me I just need to do a little better job at reviewing what's in that bin and making sure that I clean it out once every month, get things organized, and make sure no one's living in there. Okay, I got a couple of other bins that I think I need to do the same with. Today's plan, I'm gonna go through it. It's a lot. I don't know if I'm gonna get it all done, but I'm gonna try and do as much as I can. Number one, I've got to paint my tree bark. So I have my stuff for that. Number two, I've got to take down these sheets that I was supposed to take down yesterday. But I didn't have the chance to take them down because my day got really busy really fast. I had a nephew deliver a baby, and this particular nephew, I love him to death. I love all my nieces and nephews. I got many of them. But this one grew up in Florida with me. Now he's married and he has a baby, and the baby is mine. And so I had to go and see my baby. I'm spraying these plants with some more hydrogen peroxide spray. All right, so these are tomatoes, the tomato plants that I started. So these are out here now because I'm doing something I absolutely hate, doing this hardening off process. So they're out here catching some of the normal Florida weather because I've got to get them prepped to go in empty bags. It is time so that they can come out and start growing. I have got to plant this. These are my trees from Isons. I bought them maybe a year and a half ago. The order got mixed up, but they made it right. They decided to go ahead and ship them to me, but they didn't tell me it was going to be at a later date. Later date ends up being like a year and a half later because the seasons change, yada yada. It was a whole mess. But I finally got my trees. I'm going to unbox those, and they need to go in their pots today. So I've got to go out and get 2 27-gallon pots like these, so I can put those trees in them. What else do I have to do? I need to clean up, of course. I need to plant these onion starts that I got from the big box store. I'm supposed to start some seeds outside. Oh my God, the list is just getting bigger and bigger. I need to continue putting this stuff in the compost bin. I've got to empty any pots that are spent into either the 27-gallon pots or reuse them after I kind of neaten them up in the bags. I still got to move some bags around. I'm still inventorying bags. There's a lot to do. Oh, and this is the big thing that I'm thinking I'm going to get done today. I don't know, people. Maybe, maybe not. I have got to cut that thing back. I am going to cut and remove probably the entire top half of this so that I can start training it again, because it's just gotten way too bushy. I can barely walk through the jungle. Look at this. This is, you gotta duck. Like, this is like 3 feet entrance here. The vines have taken over. So I gotta control that. And I'm sure there'll be more added to the list, but that's all I've got so far. So let me go ahead and get started, and I will take you along for most of the ride if I can. Unless this video gets too long, then you're only gonna see little clips of it. Okay? Just gonna use a spoon of this 3-in-1 stuff. I just make small batches. Seal that back up. It's a little oil that comes with it, essential oil, peppermint, a couple drops of that. Pop that back in here. Now, we just gotta mix this up with some water. I just make it a consistency that's a little thinner than paint, normal latex paint. Mixed up. Now, to do this, you want to pick a day where it's not going to rain and this stuff actually has a chance to stay on the tree. And you don't want to have the sprinklers on right before either. So I'm going to start with these pear trees. And we'll show you how we do a couple of them. Well, it's a little bit of a messy job, but it goes quickly. That's it. That's all I'm doing. Just gonna paint these while they're sleeping, give them a little bit of protection, and go all the way down as far as I can. It's like a little art job. I paint the buds and everything. I'm just gonna go on, paint the rest of these trees, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Painted trees. Is it perfect? No. But who do I look like? Picasso? No. The idea is to paint the bark, give my poor Florida trees a little bit of protection from this bizarre weather that we keep having. Like I said, the whole idea behind painting the tree bark is not that the trees can't survive without it. It's that these particular trees just go through a lot with the strange season that Florida has. It doesn't get cold enough for them to completely get dormant like the trees up north, and it doesn't stay warm enough for those deciduous trees to keep their leaves all year round. So they do this fluctuation with cold, hot in the course of 1 week. I mean, we had 37, 38 degree weather on Sunday, and we're going to be 80 in the next 2 days. So these trees have a lot of adjustments to make in the course of 1 week. And so I just want to give them a little extra help, and painting the bark just gives them some protection. It helps the bark with the swelling and then the shrinking. You get a lot of tree bark cracks and things like that, and it protects them from the fungus and the insects, that particular paint that I'm using anyway. So that's the idea behind it. Is it tedious? Yes. Is it 100% necessary? Probably not. But I'm investing in my trees, so I want to take care of them as best I can. This is the stuff that I use. And I think it helps the plants in the scorching Florida sun. And I'm sure it would probably help any trees that are exposed to a lot of sun in the summer months too. Okay, the trees. That's how they come. I got them from Isons. They're Fuji Apple Trees. They come wrapped in this plastic. Isons Nursery is an online nursery that I like to use because their bare root plants are pretty affordable. So I'm gonna cut this plastic off, and I'm going to soak these trees in some water before I put them in their pots. They come wrapped in this yucky gelatinous substance that keeps them moist en route. And I just take the whole thing, and here I have some water that's been standing for a few days. It's not good to leave standing water, but I knew I was getting the trees and I knew I was going to need to rehydrate them. And I don't like to use the tap water because it's got chlorine in it. But if you let it sit for a while, then a lot of that kind of chemically changes, so the water doesn't kill any healthy rhizomes on the plants. So it just sits for a few days to get rid of that chlorine. Okay, I'm gonna set those 2 trees in there for as long as I can, probably at least the next 2-3 hours while I run out and get the pots and get the dirt and get them ready for planting. I just put them in here so that I can make sure they're nice and hydrated and that gunk is off before I plant them. All right, so this is the mucky box. Looks like I've lost a root in transit. Hopefully that's not gonna be a problem. Took some of the sheets down, not all because they're still wet, so I'm giving them a little bit more time to dry before I take the rest down. Bit by bit, I'm eating away at this ridiculous list of mine. Got that all cleaned up. I put the seed starting stuff back in. I can always take it out when it's time, but I just needed to clear off the space a little bit. It was getting a little overwhelming. So my table's clean. Still got to do these onions. It's trying to drizzle. Come on, rain, give me a moment. Every time I get to working, it wants to rain out here. Getting there, people, getting there. It's time to tackle the jungle. Okay, what I plan on doing here is just start cutting vines. I want to get probably to about this height, this much off the ground with these vines. And I'm just going to cut. And the idea behind it is if there's nothing feeding the vines above, they will eventually dry. So if I have time today, I will pull the vines off of the trellis. But if I don't, then I will leave them here, let them dry, and they'll be a little bit easier, so I think, to remove from the trellis once they're all dried up. And then I can kind of retrain these unruly vines onto this trellis. This is like risk-breaking work here, people. Who says you don't get exercise in the garden? Now I'm being careful to avoid cutting jasmine vines because this is my jasmine. The jasmine doesn't grow as quickly and it's been kind of overshadowed by this Mexican Tithoni, I think it's called. And I verified that name. Trying to avoid my jasmine because I'm gonna let that continue to train as it has. I love the smell of flowering jasmine, but I do want to get rid of this very fast growing. It travels. Look at this vine. I got vines over in here from this plant. Okay, that's how far it's traveled, all the way across. So that's what I'm gonna do before it starts raining. Woo! Florida plant mama is exhausted. I have conquered this trellis. This is the most light this area has seen in quite some time. Now to clean up this mess. It's a little later in the day. Not much. I just ran and got these 15-gallon pots for my bare root apple trees. So I was gonna get much bigger pots, but I decided to go with these because I've gotten these before. You can see my Darrow and my pink lemonade blueberry plants are in the 15 gallons. And the 25 to 30 gallon was humongous. The base of these pots gets compost. Then I'll put in some perlite, and then I got some potting soil. Ugh. But this has some time to break down and give some nutrition to the growing roots. And this compost, it's like compost manure stuff from the big box store. It's relatively inexpensive. Whew. All right, this is organic soil, garden soil from Kellogg's. Also, not too bad at price for 2 cubic feet. Yeah, I'm shoveling small amounts because I already lifted this bag to get it in the car, lifted it to get it in the little pulley thing that I have, and lifted to bring it over here. That's it. That's all I got. Shoot, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to move these pots where they go after all this lifting. You'd be down for the count. I may need to enlist the help of the trusty husband. But I'm just gonna fill these maybe halfway. I'm gonna mix in some perlite, and then we're gonna put in the trees and fill the rest of the way. Almost there. I'm going to cover with some mulch. This is just a regular old bag of red mulch. I was at the big box store and the bag was open and the price was half off. So I figured, yeah, I'll find something to do with that. And look, already did. So the mulch is meant to help the plant maintain its moisture, and so that I'm not weeding these apple tree bases next week. There we go. I take the mulch away from the very base of the plant so it has breathing room. Now, normally I'd stake these trees, but I figured I want them to, while they're little, get some strength in these pots. So I am not going to stake them. I'm going to let them fend for themselves unless they show me that they need extra help. Okay, so that's done. So let me clean up my mess here, and I'm gonna label these trees right away so that I don't forget the tag on them. Got my labels. A little bit more water. Okay, now gotta see if I've got the strength to move these bad boys, especially after I water. I may have to leave them here. Let's see. Oh no, that's a negative. I guess I'll be needing some help, or let it dry out a little bit first. While I'm on the repotting kick, this blueberry needs to be planted in a little bigger pot. So I am going to up pot it to this 7-gallon pot. I was gonna take this blueberry out and pot it there. This is a sharp blue blueberry. I was gonna just take this out, but I don't know if it's gonna do much this year. It's got a little flower on it. It's also looking kind of scraggly, but it's still alive. So I'm gonna leave it, but I am gonna put this in that pot, and I'm going to use soil, and I'm also going to add some peat moss to keep the acidity up, because blueberries like acid soil, which is one of the reasons why I decided to plant them in pots instead of in the ground, because I just can't keep the soil around the ground acidic enough for them, I think, without causing too much acidity in the other surrounding plants. So I'm just gonna put that in here. I got a couple struggling plants in pots, and I'm gonna reuse that soil, refresh it, and add peat moss. All right, so this was not on the to-do list, but I got distracted, so it is now. I got tired of all the tiny little dahlia pots scattered all over the place, and I was afraid that my dahlia roots would start rotting if I left them in these little pots because they're really, really wet. They don't drain very well. So I decided to consolidate. So I planted 2 tubers there, 2 there, and these are the other ones that I've pulled out of pots. They still look pretty good. There's some rotting in some areas, but I removed most of the rotted tubers like this one. And I'm just gonna throw it at the bottom of the bag. That'll break down. So that's what I'll do with all of them. I'll just clean off any rotten tubers. This is what it looks like when I'm digging it out of the dirt. So I'll just cut off the little stem here, and I will remove any rotted tubers and put it in the bag. That 7.5 gallon bag. That way it eliminates all the clutter. Okay, dahlia's planted, area cleaned up. I decided to keep these 3 hot peppers here. I cut them back and I gave them a little bit more compost. They look pretty good. So I'm gonna leave them out here and hopefully they will do well once the heat kicks in. I believe at least 2 of these are the Scotch bonnets, maybe 3 of them. Maybe 1 is a Serrano, but definitely 2 of them are Scotch bonnets from last summer. There's still all of these to contend with. And I gotta take those covers off now. They're pretty dry. And this is what it's looking like. My disaster area is slowly getting cleaned up, very slowly. Hopefully you can still hear me because they're mowing the lawn out. Today was a productive day. Did I get everything done? Absolutely not. But it's a journey, not a race. Planted a few things. All of the blankets are down. Folded? No. Down? Yes. I've got a pretty calendula smiling at me. Look at that. It's looking good. I still have not started any seeds outside. I still have not planted these onions. What else? I've got to move some sisu, plant some ginger. I've got to move these things up a bit and put some mulch in the pots. All for another day. Today has been a day. Look, I said I took the blankets down. Never said anything about folding them all today. Again, things to do for another day.